Hi, I am Hafeez Anwar, and today I will talk about the carbon-based nanostructure as low-cost counter electrodes for dye-sensitized solar cells. Here is the overview of my talk. First, I would like to talk about the structure and working principle of dye-sensitized solar cells in order to understand our motivation for my research. And then I will talk about the challenges in this technology, and mainly these are related to the sustainability issues, because in normal cell we use some of the materials which are very expensive and they have limited availability, and then proposed solutions to these issues applying carbon nanotubes in dye-sensitized solar cells. So here is the schematic diagram of dye-sensitized solar cells. It is not according to the scale, just for understanding. So it has two electrodes. One is the working electrode, which is also called photoelectrode. The other one is counter electrode. And working electrode is mostly a glass coated with any transparent conducting oxide. In our case, it is fluorine doped tin oxide, and it has also nanoporous TiO2 layer and a monolayer of dye sensitizer in order to harvest light efficiently. Other electrode, which is counter electrode, also has glass coated with transparent conducting oxide and also has catalyst layer, which is platinum in our case, and between these two electrodes we have electrolyte which has redox couple of triiodide ion and iodide ion, and actually platinum is a catalyst to reduce triiodide ion into the iodide ion. So in terms of the working principle, an incoming photon actually absorbed by the dye molecule, and electron from HOMO of the dye molecule excited to the LUMO of the dye molecule. And from the LUMO of the dye molecule, this electron is injected into the conduction band of the TiO2, leaving behind the oxidized dye molecule. And in nanoporous TiO2, this electron percolates and finally reaches to the transparent conducting oxide. And from transparent conducting oxide, through external load, it reaches to the counter electrode to the other side. And at counter electrodes, this electron reduces triiodide ion into the iodide ion, and this iodide ion then reduces the oxidized dye molecule to its ground state. So this is a closed loop, and we get electricity from solar cell. So in normal cell, we use platinum as a catalyst to reduce triiodide ion to iodide ion. But the problem with platinum is that it has high cost and limited availability. So in order to make dye-sensitized solar cells a viable technology, we need to replace platinum with some materials which are abundant, low cost, and also sustainable, and they should have potential to replace the platinum. So people are working on different approaches. For example, Benoit Marsan group at UCAM is working on cobalt sulfide in order to replace platinum, and we are working on carbon-based nanostructures, especially on carbon nanotubes, because they are well known for their electrical and electrochemical properties. In our lab, we successfully made vertically aligned carbon nanotubes on different substrates using different chemical vapor deposition methods. Initially, we used FTO as a substrate to grow carbon nanotubes, but after exposure to the growth conditions, FTO is destroyed. So we just shifted to other substrates. And here is one of the method, which is the water-assisted CVD method to grow carbon nanotubes. And we also characterize these carbon nanotubes length versus growth time. So in this method, ethylene with water vapor is as a carbon source gas, and grow temperature is 750, and catalyst is iron on alumina, and our substrate is polished stainless steel. So these are the SEM images. These are the side views. We have grown these carbon nanotubes with different time exposures, 10 second, 20 second, 40 second, and 60 second. and we characterized them growth rate versus length, and we found that for 10-second time growth, they have length around about 5 micron, and then 10 micron, 20 micron, and 60 micron respectively. And for this particular system, we found the growth rate is 0.5 to 1 micron per second, and we can grow carbon nanotubes using this method up to millimeters. Here is the structure of my cell. So below one is the photo anode, and the upper one is our counter electrode having vertically aligned carbon nanotubes instead of platinum. And we use the Sutherland film as a separator, and through those holes actually we fill our electrolyte, and then we actually tested our cells. And these are the JV curves, and the main parameter extracted from our those dye-sensitized solar cells. And you can see that the open circuit voltage for vertically based dye-sensitized carbon nanotube based dye-sensitized solar cells is higher as compared to the platinum, but the JSE is also increasing with the increasing length up to 20 nanometers carbon nanotubes dye-sensitized solar cell, and then it is decreased for 30 micron. And same trend we found in our fill factor and also our efficiency, and we got 5.7% efficiency for our 20 micron carbon nanotubes length dye-sensitized solar cells. So what is actually happening for the longer carbon nanotubes after 20 micrometer? In order to understand that, we actually used many characterization techniques. So one of the technique we use is the electrochemical impedance spectroscopy in order to understand the charge transfer resistance at the carbon nanotubes and electrolyte interface. And these are the Nyquist plots of the electrochemical cell, in which one electrode is platinum, the other is multi-wall carbon nanotubes electrode. And the equivalent circuit, the parallel combination of RCT and the double charge capacitance give us this semicircle, and the diameter of the semicircle is giving us the RCT. And we observed that with increasing length up to 20 micrometer, the RCT, the diameter becoming smaller and smaller, and then after 20 micron it is again increased. So it shows that the 20 micron carbon nanotubes dye-sensitized solar cell has given us lower charge transfer resistance. And then we also try to revisit our SEM images, but it was very hard to get any quantitative details from our SEM images. And then we decided to go for small angle X-ray scattering measurements for these carbon nanotube based electrodes. And here are the plots, and Q is actually a scattering vector. And by using the value of this Q at the maximum peak value, we can calculate the average radius of our carbon nanotubes. And the right plot is carbon nanotubes length versus the radius. And we found that with increasing length, the radius of the carbon nanotube is decreasing. And we propose that the 20 micron carbon nanotubes length electrode has higher specific surface area available to reduce the triiodide ion to iodide ion, and all the characterization actually support that thing, that this particular tube length actually giving us our optimum efficiency. We also did work on nanocrystalline cellulose, which is natural biopolymer, and it has very fascinating properties. For example, the suspension of NCC can form anisotropic chiral pneumatic liquid crystalline phase, and actually we used carbon derived from the pyrolysis of the NCC, in our counter electrodes to replace platinum, and these are our initial results. And you can see that, I mean, the pictures, the NCC without, before pyrolysis. The below one are the AAFM images that can show the morphology. Before annealing, before pyrolysis, it is a rod-like needle structure, and after pyrolysis, it is a kind of round morphology. So we use these in our dye-sensitized solar cells, and these are the JV curves under different sun intensities. At one sun, we got 3.77% efficiency, which is quite encouraging. These are our initial results. So, but you can see that at higher potential value, we are getting higher series resistance that is killing the efficiency of our device. So currently, I am working to optimize this device so that we can have much more from this system. So in conclusions, multi-wall vertically aligned carbon nanotubes has potential to replace platinum. It has given us efficiency about 86% of that of the platinum-based dye-sensitized solar cell. Stainless steel as substrate further lowers the cost, because one of the expensive component in dye-sensitized solar cell is your FTO, transparent conducting oxide substrates. And with increasing length, diameter or the radius of the multi-watt carbon nanotube is decreasing, and charge transfer resistance is higher as compared to the platinum. And we will work on this. We are thinking about some modifications of carbon nanotube, surface modification, in order to get rid of this thing. And also nanocrystalline cellulose has potential to replace platinum. Initially, it has given us 57% of the efficiency of the platinum-based dye-sensitized solar cell, but it needs optimizations. And these are our collaborators. And thank you very much.